It's been a little while, but it's time once again for another extremely easy platinums list. This is the 6th volume of this list, so be sure to check out the other ones if you're interested in more extremely easy platinums. So, without further ado though, let's get to the list. First up is Funk of the Titans. This is a runner game where you do have to complete each of the goals in every level, as well as perfecting the bosses, which are all quick time events. And it's the same pattern every time you do them, so you can memorize them or write them down if you absolutely needed to do so. But honestly, for the most part, levels took maybe 1, 2, or 3 times at the most in order to complete everything. The worst trophy involves the Zeus challenges, which you have to do random things like jump a certain number of times or collect a certain number of an object, and you have to complete a lot of these. This trophy took me a little bit of extra grinding after I completed everything else, but still, you can get this platinum in just a handful of hours. Next up is the Town of Light. This is a walking sim that's set in an insane asylum back in the 1940s. There's a few branching paths for the story, including one point where there's 4 splits, which is a bit annoying, but there's some great guides out there to help you, as well as the chapter select, so you don't have to replay the entire game from the beginning. There is some collectibles that you have to keep an eye out for though, but they end up stacking, at least most of them stack, so that you'll be able to find them, and even if you go back to a previous chapter, if you've already collected one later on, it's still going to be gone in an earlier chapter. It does a good job of keeping track of that. The worst trophy, though, is the collectible for getting all these child drawings late in the game. It's a series of convoluted hallways that you have to navigate to find all of them, and you have a very small time limit in order to make sure you're able to locate them all, which is a bit annoying. But there are some text guides and video guides out there to help you with this, and since you have chapter select, you can try it and try it again without having to replay the entire game. For the next spot on this list, I decided to lump 3 games together, so 3 of the 10 for this list are just going to be right here, and that is the newest hidden object games from Artifex Mundi. This is Eventide Slavic Fables, Enigmatis 2, and Dark Arcana the Carnival. All 3 games are very similar in look and design, and if you play the other hidden object games that have been released like Nightmares from the Deep or Clockwork Tales of Glass and Ink, you'll be very familiar with what's here. You do have to play 2 of these games 2 times each in order to do the different styles of puzzles, but even when you have that factor in, it still only takes about 2.5 to 3.5 hours in order to get the platinum in each. Next up is Inner World, another adventure style game that, if you have a guide handy, will be just a couple of hours in order to get through, but even without a guide, most of the trophies are pretty straightforward. There's a couple that you will have to do a couple of things you may not do on your normal playthrough, but still, the Inner World is a relatively short but actually enjoyable adventure game. I like the cartoon styling and the music that went along with it, so I can actually recommend this one for sure if you're looking for an adventure game on the PS4 that just so happens to also have an easy platinum. Brix is a Breakout clone that has a few upgrades thrown into the mix to keep things at least somewhat interesting. The backgrounds and pictures that you have to break bricks in front of are from various PSN themes that the company itself is actually selling, so they kind of get a little bit more out of the stuff they've already been producing. This is a very easy platinum for sure, as you just have to complete most of the levels and get a certain number of stars, which is actually really easy to do so. The worst trophy in the game is getting 50,000 points in a single level, but if you're able to get a decent multiplier going, this is actually not bad, and there's a couple of levels in particular where this is actually really easy to get. Next up is Puzzle Showdown 4K. This is a jigsaw puzzle solving game with a variety of different pictures and themes and a few different modes and options thrown in. There is some multiplayer, including a couple of multiplayer things you have to do for trophies, but these are really easy to do, as well as solving the biggest possible puzzle in the game, the most amount of pieces involved, and do so within a time limit. But even I, that is really bad at doing jigsaws, had no problem being able to do it way underneath the time limit. Black and White Bushido is a multiplayer fighting game featuring samurais. It has some cool effects of using the white and black colors in order to hide your samurais while they're battling. And even though it's all multiplayer, there are bots involved, and if you do have an extra controller, it'll just end up making things easier. Just pull up the trophies, and there are a few videos out there to help you if you get stuck on a couple of the trophies, like using the teleport item a few times. You can grab this platinum though in about 20 to 30 minutes at most. Before we get to number 1 though, a couple of honorable mentions. First up is Semispheres, but only the Hong Kong region version of the game. It was released in North America as well, but it doesn't have a platinum attached to the trophy list, but it does have the same trophies and a platinum in the Hong Kong region. Here is a puzzle game that has 2 spheres that you control using the left and right joystick and have to solve various puzzles. There is a time limit restriction on having to beat the game in under 35 minutes, but after you play through it once, doing it again in order to get that time one isn't so bad, or you can just follow a video guide to make sure you know the solutions for each puzzle as you're going through. The other game I want to mention is 1000 Top Rated. This game was pulled from the PSN not long after it was put up. The game advertised being the easiest platinum ever, though that could be debatable overall. It's a sliding puzzle game where you have pictures that jumble up and you have to slide all the pieces back in order. The game itself is bland at its best, but the whole point of it existing is for that easy platinum, and the developer was very upfront about it, but Sony took it down because of some complaints. They are going to be putting the game back up though, and it will have a different name and a different description. So if you're looking for that easy sliding puzzle fix for a platinum that you can get in a couple of minutes, hopefully it won't take too long to get it back up. For the number 1 spot, I'm going with Energy Cycle. Now, this is a color-changing puzzle game where you have to make all the objects the same color, but anything that's connected to the one you've changed also changes. The game has a set of predetermined levels that have solutions that you can easily find the solution for online, as well as there is the time attack and endless modes where you have to complete 30 and 50 levels respectively. However, once you complete one level in each of the time attack or in the endless, just mash the X button and it quickly starts to level up, eventually completing 30 levels or 50 levels in a matter of just a few seconds. They may end up patching this down the road, but if they don't, it'll remain as one of the easiest platinums to get on the PS4. So there you have it, guys, 10 more extremely easy platinums you can get now on the PlayStation 4. A couple of these games, like Briks and Black and White Bushido, can actually be gotten in multiple regions now, so if you like it in your one region, you get the platinum, you can buy it in another one and get another platinum out of it. Also, the game Nubla has now been released with 4 separate trophy lists, and it's a platinum you can get in 35 to 40 minutes at most, and it's the same trophy list for each version of the game, even though it has 2 separate names. You have Nubla and the World of Nubla, with the only difference between them being a demo included in World of Nubla for the second Nubla-related game that will come out at some point down the road. So, if you're looking for 4 very easy platinums, all 4 versions of Nubla you can get as well. But anyway, guys, it's going to wrap up this top 10 video. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.